Hello and welcome. Welcome to episode 10 here on Bethel Radio 99.9 on our show, Let's Talk About It. And I know you see a different face today. And yes, it's me, Sister Janet, here hosting for the first time this program. Our brother Joshua is not here currently because this is because it's an all girls episode today, which we're going to be talking about knowing how to be independent but also dependent. And we're going to really hit this subject today. But first, before we do that, we want to tell you that you can follow us on Facebook at Bethel Radio and Grand Prairie, or you can also follow us on Instagram on Bethel Radio GPTX. Our number is 682-283-9082, where you can give us a call if you have any prayer requests or anything that you want to talk about. Our pastor is always there ready to answer. And you can also go to our website, which is bethelradiogptx.org, where you can listen to the radio anytime, anywhere. All you have to do is go on the website and press play, and you'll be able to hear us anywhere. And to introduce who we have here today, so we have our sister Valerie.
Hello, guys. Happy to be here.
I hope she is happy to be
Happy
here.
with my host.
All right, and then on this side, we have our sister Melanie and also our sister Jocelyn.
Hey everyone, good evening. Happy to be here.
God bless everybody listening to us.
we're a little nervous, but bear with us. We're gonna definitely get there today. All right, so now to start this episode 10. I can't believe we're actually in episode 10 already. I feel like this program has really gone so fast, and I think all of us have enjoyed it. I think it's been a good program. I think we've been able to talk about certain subjects that kind of seem a little taboo sometimes to talk about, but I think we've hit good points. And today we're going to also talk about the subject, knowing how to be independent but also dependent. Now, I do want to give a reason why I wanted to do this topic, especially for young women. This is why you only see girls here. I'm not saying that this doesn't happen to males, but I feel like it's happening more with young women. So that's why I wanted to kind of take control of this one. So the reason for this topic is I feel like we now live in a society where it talks about being independent all the time. Now, I don't want to bash being independent. I am a very independent person as well. I've grown up being independent, and I think being independent is very important. It's important to know how to navigate life on your own, to be able to do stuff on your own. You can't always rely on somebody all the time. But at the same time, I feel like, especially for women, like something that, they were reading my my description of the show. You hear it all a lot, especially for women. Oh, you're a girl boss, like you slay. You slay. Girl, you don't need a man. You don't need this. You can do it all on your own. We hear those expressions all the time. That is very normal now in society now with us, and I think that now, especially in this society, it's kind of ingrained into us, like, you don't need a man. You don't need anybody else. You can do it all by yourself. And, well, yes, you can, to a certain degree, do certain things on your own. I think we're being told all the time that you just need yourself, and that's it, that you need to be independent, and that's it. But there's also an importance of being dependent as well. And I think that's what we're going to talk about today a lot. It's extremely important that we know to be dependent on someone else, and to know that that time will happen one day, that we are going to depend on somebody else, and that doesn't make it a bad thing. So to start the show, I guess we already started. So to start, we're going to start with question 1, okay? Question 1 is, What does being independent mean to you, and why is it important? So I don't know who wants to start.
I go.
You go? Okay.
To me, independency, I guess, means like being able to take care of yourself without having to rely on other people.
Yeah.
Or like, I say, yeah. Basically, it's pretty like
Yeah.
a broad answer, but
Yeah, okay.
For me, I would say being independent is majorly making your own decisions
Okay.
and keeping, like you said, taking care of yourself for the most part.
Yeah, okay.
I agree with everything they said. Yeah, I think being independent means like she said, doing everything yourself, relying on yourself too. Like
Yeah.
whenever you need something or you trying to figure something out, like you do it yourself. You don't
Right.
rely on somebody else.
Right, right. And I think we all are very well known on what being independent is. But why is it so important for us to be independent? Especially now in the society where we live in. Why is it so important for us to be independent? Because I feel like it's something that's engraved into us, like to be independent. But why is it so important?
I think because everybody has their own issues or their
Yeah.
own things to figure out. So it's like you don't want to put your own issues onto somebody else.
Okay.
I would say it like
so
that.
like almost like you don't want to be a burden to
Yeah,
someone.
you don't wanna be a
okay.
burden, yeah.
Okay. Anyone else? Why
Plus,
is it-
sometimes I think they can like use that against you even then.
like throw it in your
okay.
face.
Yeah,
Throw it in your face,
yeah.
like, oh, I helped you.
Yeah.
And,
Like you
Well, don't even help me.
yeah, I think that is the worst. I think that is very. It doesn't feel good when you ask for help and then somebody throws it in your face.
Yeah.
Then you're just like, well, I don't want to ask for help anymore because I run the risk of being vulnerable. Because, that's the thing. I feel like sometimes being independent is a defense mechanism. And I'm going to throw it on there. I feel like it's a defense mechanism because when you're dependent, you're vulnerable. There's a certain vulnerability you have to show somebody to be dependent. And sometimes we don't, we unfortunately sometimes make a decision of being vulnerable with the wrong person. And then when that person betrays us or that person doesn't act like we thought they would, then that becomes almost like a, I don't know, like how can I say it? Like a, I know it in Spanish, herida. So basically it becomes like something that hurts you.
A wound?
A wound. There you
A
go. Thank you
open
guys.
wound.
A wound. And then that makes you like kind of shut yourself out from everybody else. You're like, okay, well, this person hurt me. Who's gonna, I'm not gonna let nobody else hurt me either. So you kind of shut it down. And you tend to do everything on your own constantly without stopping for that reason. I don't know if that's ever happened to you guys where you've maybe been vulnerable with somebody or dependent on somebody on something and then they didn't, really follow through.
Yeah, or they like belittle you. I think that kind of sucks too. Like when you like kind of go to somebody for that like help, just because I feel like being independent like exhausts you in a way.
Yeah.
So when you're just like, okay, I need a break. I need somebody to like, I guess, go to.
Yeah.
And they kind of just like, well, besides throwing it in your face, belittle you. It kind of is like, okay, well, why did I even come to you? Like I could have just done it on my own again,
Yeah.
I
yeah.
feel like.
Yeah, and honestly, that kind of goes good with question 2 because you said that being independent all the time exhausts you. So, question 2 is, what pressures do you have or feel from others or yourself to be independent? Let's answer that one first.
I think for myself is I'm the oldest sibling, so
Yeah.
that's just in me. It's automatically in me.
Yeah.
Since like I am young, but I'm gonna say since a young age, I've always felt like the need to like take care of myself and just get like my things done.
Right.
And like not necessarily put myself first, but like take care of my things.
Right.
So yeah, that's like a pressure I put in myself to be independent.
Yeah, I can see that. Do you ever feel pressure from others to feel independent?
I think I don't feel pressure from others,
Okay.
but I put myself pressure because
Yeah.
I feel like others are depending on me. So like for example, my parents don't put pressure to be independent, but for me, I feel like I need to be independent, and I put that pressure on myself. But my parents don't put it. They're not like, Melanie, like say independiente, haz esto. No, I just do it to myself.
Yeah, it's more of like I want to set an example.
Exactly, yeah.
And I want to set a bar. And I totally understand that, because I feel like as the oldest kid, I always felt that pressure, like I need to make sure everything looks good because I have siblings that are looking at me, or I'm the oldest. I have to set an example. And sometimes as the oldest, you do feel that pressure. Sometimes, and it's a pressure that you yourself put like my mom never really told me.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, sort of. So she did and she didn't. So she was always like, oh, you make sure you study, make sure you do this, make sure you do that. Not in a bad way to where she was just like, you have to do it now type thing, but it was like in the back of my mind always, especially coming from an immigrant family. So coming from a family that, you know, my mom didn't really go to school or anything, didn't graduate or anything like that. It was very different. So I was like the first one to really go to high school, to study, to graduate. So there's a huge pressure, especially for anyone who's listening. If you come from an immigrant family, there is a huge pressure of you have to make it. Like you have to do the American dream type thing. Like you have to, you know, use the resources, you know, that you have, and, you know, you can't be like your parents, and, you know, they want what is better for you. There is a certain pressure. So I think for me, that was very like pressuring, versus I feel like for my brother, he wasn't as pressured. He was just like, okay, she did it already, like, you know, kind of thing. And, you know, and he's just like, okay. And maybe he felt a different pressure, but it wasn't the same pressure that I felt, I think. So, but yeah, how about you, Hermana Valerie? Do you, what pressures do you feel that you have, or that you feel from others or for yourself, like to be independent?
If I'm being honest, I don't think I'm pressured either. Like, kind of like Melanie said, like it comes from a me thing as well. Like I'm independent, like on my own, kind of because I want to and stuff. Like it's just how I've always been. Yeah. Like I was remembering, I remember whenever I was in first grade, my parents got like this offer letter for me to being gifted. And I remember I found this in like, I think 7th grade, 8th grade. I found like the files of it. Yeah. And then it was something my dad wrote, and I was like, dang, like I didn't know he wrote that, but he wrote, she's a very independent like girl. She doesn't really need anything. And I was like, wait. So it was kind of like I saw myself in his POV, I guess you could say. Like I saw myself in his perspective. Which I was like, dang, I guess I am kind of like that. And then, you know, you start to reflect on every moment in your life, like, yeah. I think it's good not to be pressured sometimes, but it's also good whenever you do need the help, and like they're there for you too, I think.
Yes. And I think that's an important thing, because sometimes and I've seen cases of this where there's people or parents that are like, oh, you know, they're so independent, they never need anything, they're fine.
But that can be an issue sometimes.
Yeah, and that can be a huge issue. That person is literally drowning. Yeah. But because they feel like if they were to ask for help, they're a burden, they don't. And they drown in their own, like, you know, things, or, you know, or their own, you know, problems. They don't say anything. Or sometimes the parents are just not as available if like, they were to ask for help or say something. Sometimes that parent will be like, well, you do everything else, like, why are you asking me for help now? Like, they tend to, you know, say something along those lines and make that person guilty for even asking. So yeah, I think that's a very important point. How about you, Hermana Jocelyn?
I guess to like what you just said about like when I feel like when a parent overhypes their child, I mean, it's not a bad thing, but I feel like what you said, that person can be drowning. It like brought back a memory when my dad was like basically telling my siblings, like, you need to study, like your sister got into college, she's doing this by herself, blah blah blah. And then when they left, I looked at my dad and I was like, I'm failing in class, like I'm really failing in class, like I was like, Dad, like I'm failing in class. And he was like,
He's He's like, they don't need to know that.
Yeah, I was like, you know what? Let them go to the room.
Let me go to the room. We'll talk separate.
And then I told him, and he was like, it's okay. Like, it's fine. You know, it's your first year of college. Like, it's not a big deal. And, like, he was trying to reassure me, like, just, like, you know, just so I wouldn't feel like all the pressure was on me.
Yeah.
So I feel like, you know, having that, like, where a parent overhypes a kid is, like, not a bad thing, because also they can, well, for my dad, like, he saw both sides. Like, he was like, yeah, like, your sister's doing good, but also he was like, it's okay. Like, sometimes you need a break. Sometimes you need to, relearn something.
Yeah.
And it's okay, you know. Like, he was making me feel okay for being behind. And but thank God I, like, passed the class.
Oh, that's good. And I think, okay, so that kind of goes with, it's still question 2, but, you know, the second part to that, you know, do you feel emotionally exhausted or physically exhausted from being independent all the time?
I think for me it's mentally exhausted.
Mentally exhausting, yeah. Okay.
Like whenever, like she said, like regarding school.
Yeah.
Whenever I graduated pretty early. I was one of the youngest in my class, and then I went into college early as well. As soon as I graduated, I went into college.
Yeah.
And I pushed myself really hard that year, and I was just done.
Yeah.
I was drained, and then I failed the next semester. But then I was like pushing myself to be extremely independent, because in my mind I was like, I'm in college now, nothing can go wrong. Like, I have to like I have to keep it up. What I kept up through high school, I have to keep it up for
like
college.
Yeah, so it's like you set this expectation or this bar to a certain like height, and you're like, I have to maintain it like that all the time.
Yes, exactly. And I pushed myself for like even harder, like right after, and then just after all the pressure I put in myself, it didn't end up working, and I failed the semester. But I thankfully, and I'm really blessed that I had supportive parents at the moment. Obviously they weren't the happiest that I failed the semester, but they were like really supportive, and they helped me like not feel like horrible, because I felt horrible because I never did that bad in school.
Yeah.
So, and since it was my first year, like, you have to relearn stuff, and it's very different from high school. So it was just like a different experience and different momentum. So, and I wasn't able to keep up. But I did have parents that helped me, like, that que me sostenieron, like, right after that, and then helped me get like back up on my feet, ready for the next semester.
Well, that's awesome, and I think that's awesome to have a good support system. And I think that's what, you know, people who are always independent, they burn out. There's going to be a point in time where you burn out, because it happened to me. I was very, like, super independent, you know, especially before, you know, I got married. I was born in Houston, and I lived in Houston all my life. When I made the decision to come to college, I moved cities by myself. So I moved here to Dallas. After moving to Dallas, I had to have like 2 jobs to maintain like paying bills and paying all this stuff. And I remember my mom visiting me one time, and she's like, you don't look happy. You look so stressed out. Like, you look so worn out. But I wouldn't tell her what was going on, because I'm like, well, I don't want to burden her that I'm barely making ends meet. Like, I'm just going to, like, keep working. So my schedule was, like, 5 a.m., go to school 5 a.m., 5 a.m. to 1 o'clock or noon. At 1:30, I would go into my first job, 1:30 to, like, 7, and then the other job was, like, 10 minutes. So, like, 7:15, I enter my other job, will leave at midnight.
Oh my goodness.
And that was my routine. Like, it was like 5 days a week. Like 5 days a week. Like, I sometimes would sit on my couch and just literally like just fall asleep.
And you had to be back up in 5 hours.
And I had to be back up in 5 hours. And that was so draining.
How long did you do that for?
Almost a year.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a very long time. It's not good. That is not good. No, it's not good. Because mentally, I didn't have a life outside of work. I was just exhausted.
Yeah, schoolwork.
Schoolwork, this, go, and then graduating, and then doing it all over again. It's very exhausting. And I think, honestly, you know, God's mercy and grace, I'm glad that I didn't just give up on everything, because I was so close. I was so close to just being like, I'm done. But also, I felt the pressure of, like, I didn't want to be a failure. Like, I didn't have a support system that could tell me, okay, it's okay. You know, like okay, it didn't work out, but you had a support system. I did not have that, so I pressured myself until I couldn't anymore. Like, I pressured myself to the end. I was like, no, I have to see it through because nobody can see me fail. And it's a very bad way of thinking because we're not perfect. We're going to fail. We're going to have moments where we're up here and then moments where we're down here, and that's okay. But that's why I think being independent is great, but there's a certain point where it can be very dangerous. And that's why you see a lot of people that, unfortunately, they sometimes commit suicide. Sometimes they leave. They can't take it anymore. They fail, and they're like, I don't want to try again, because they've pushed their limits so much to a certain degree where they're just like, I have to see it through because this is my only option. But there's other options. There is other options. Even if you don't have the greatest support system, you can find a good support system. You can also, first of all, rely on God. He tells us to be dependent on him all the time. But, I think that's where you become emotionally exhausted, and it's so hard to bring yourself back up from being emotionally exhausted. So that was my point for me. So, which was pretty tough, but thank God I made it through. But I do not recommend. Do not recommend. So, but I mean, do you have? I think you already answered, right?
I don't even remember. No, I mean, I feel like personally, I'm just an emotionally person, and I say that all the time. I just am. So I always get like in my feelings about things when I'm just tired, and I guess for me, like Melanie said, I am the oldest. Yeah. So I did learn a lot on my own. Like my mom's always said it. Like she was like, "You're already walking by like 10 months. You're already doing this."
Really? When?
She was like, you were riding a bike without training wheels at 2. Like you did a lot like by yourself, and then I'm like, wait, like I actually did like, but I also learned the hard way too, because it's like I did a lot on my own. I also learned like on my own, and I guess like all that I do remember for college when it was coming around, I was like applying to colleges. I don't even know how I was doing it, but I know I was doing it. Like I was just submitting applications to schools, and I was getting accepted, and I was like, it was just an adrenaline rush. Like it was just coming, and I was like, wait, like I'm doing so good.
Academic weapon.
Yeah. And then I was like, wait, like there was just so much, and I remember I was like, I gotta pass this class. I gotta add another elective to get this much credits. I need to do this. I need to do that. And then like when I don't know what happened was that I like it was this. STAR tests have always been hard for me. Yeah. So when I saw my result on one, I was like, oh my gosh, and everything just like crashed. I kid you not, I just like it felt like I crashed, and it was just like I don't know,
almost like everything just like went down. Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know what to do no more. Like I was like so drained. Like I don't know, Rona. Like I don't know how I got through that year, but I know I got through it. It was
and that's the thing. Like my mom would say this all the time. I don't know if you guys' mom would say this, but she would always be like, "Si solo van a la escuela, like how hard can that be? All you do, that's all you do. You go to school. How hard can it be?" I'm like, "Ma'am, you have no idea how hard it is when you have the pressures of like trying to pass a class and all these exams and all the stuff you have to study for. It is very difficult. Okay, so college is difficult. High school is difficult. Any type of studying is difficult. But my mom used to say that all the time, and I'm like, whatever.
It's funny that you say that.
It's funny that you say that because she didn't go to school. I did. She's gonna hear this. She's gonna be like, "Excuse me."
We see a chancla flying.
I know, right? Oh my god. Okay. Yeah, funny. No, oh my gosh, but she used to tell me all the time, like, it's very hard, okay? But thankfully, we made it through. How about you, Mallory?
Oh, I'm not gonna lie, I don't feel any. Sorry, I know I keep saying that, but I really don't, because like even when I like fail or something, I'm like, okay, whatever, like I'll just try again. Like,
but see, that's good. That means that you
obviously
have a good
I feel bad whenever I fail. Right? I'm like, okay, I shouldn't, especially like giving the privileges that I'm giving, the conditions, have like no excuse to fail. But even if I do, I'm like whatever, you know, like even like when
Yeah.
Mel knows, like, you know, I also went through the whole like failing a couple classes here and there. But I was like, oh, and I just thought like, oh, it added 2 years to like what I want to be. But I was like, it's fine. Like the 2 years are gonna pass by either way. So like, I don't know. That's just me though. I don't know. That sounds like bad or anything.
No, I don't think it's bad. I think it shows the different characters and different perspectives as well. And I think that's good that you're like, okay, I get to try again, and then just keep going. It also shows the support system that you have, you know, things like that. Also shows that you're the middle child. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, that's middle child for the longest. Yeah, that's
but true. No, but I think, you know, it's different, and that's where you can see. Being independent looks different for everybody, especially depending on your character, depending how you view things. It can look different for everybody. Yeah. The thing is, being independent is not bad, and I want to reiterate that. It's not bad being independent. I think it's important to be independent, you know, but we just can't, you know, let that be our whole persona or let that be our whole thing.
See, that's where I will struggle. That's where I will struggle. Like,
and you know what? And we're going to go into question 3, but we're going to take a small break first. But we're going to start talking about being dependent, which I think that's where we're going to really like hit, you know, the nerve. But yes, please stay tuned. We're going to get to the second part of this. We're talked about being independent, but now we're going to talk about being dependent. But we're going to go on a break first. And then, you know, you just please stay tuned so that way you can listen to the second part of the show. So please, if you are watching, this is Bethel Radio 99.9 FM. And we'll see you in a little bit. Welcome, everybody. God bless each and every one of you, and welcome back to our show. Let's talk about it here on Bethel Radio 99.9 FM. And we are happy to have you back. I hope you have stayed tuned since the beginning. And if you're just coming in, well, welcome. And this is our episode 10. Our episode 10 show. I meant to say show and then episode 10. Sorry, guys. But this is the first time I am hosting, so please bear with me as I'm trying to navigate through this. We don't have our brother Joshua with us today because this is an all-girls show today. So we're talking about knowing to be independent but also dependent. And that is the topic that we're talking about. And we had just had the first two questions. But before we do that, just want to let you know that you can always follow us on Facebook on Bethel Radio Grand Prairie, or you can follow us on Instagram on Bethel Radio GPTX. Our number is 682-283-9082, where you can contact us. Oh my God, I'm getting tongue-tied. Contact us if you have any prayer requests. And our website is bethelradiogptx.org, where you can listen to Bethel Radio at any time, anywhere, wherever you are. You can listen to us. You just go on our website, press play, and you'll be able to listen now. And we're going to get back into the topic. So knowing how to be independent, but also dependent. And if you're just tuning in, we were talking about being independent, what being independent means to you, what pressures we have that makes us feel that we have to be independent. Do we feel emotionally exhausted when we're in that independent all the time? So we had some pretty good topics so far. I think we've had very good topics. But now we're going to really get into question 3. And we're going to start talking about being dependent, which I think that everybody here doesn't have a problem being independent. But I don't know. I think being dependent is the hard one. Being dependent. And we're going to talk about it. So question 3, without further ado, question 3 says, what scares you about being dependent on someone? Let's hit that first part. What scares you about being dependent on someone?
I would say, like, the fear of, like, losing control.
Fear of losing control.
It's like I have a system for myself.
Uh-huh.
And, like, you have to depend on somebody else. It's like I have to share that with you. And it's kind of like, if you don't do it my way, it's kind of like, bruh.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I feel like I need to do, like, work on that a little bit more.
We got to pray for your future husband because, my God, girl.
It's not always my way, though. So I learned that.
Okay. All right.
I think for me it would be being let down. Mm-hmm. Like, if I have plans and then I'm, like, depending on somebody else to, like, follow those plans as well to, like, do something. Yeah. And then you fail on your side. Well, the plan's ruined now because, like, well, that's how I see it. Yeah. But it's, like, obviously, like, not right. But that's it for me.
But, you know, I understand that because I'm a big planner. Mm-hmm. I'm a big planner. For everybody, like, that really knows me, they know I'm a big, like, I like to plan weeks ahead if it's possible for me. I love having a planner. Like, I have a planner where I write down, like, how my month is going to go. Mm-hmm. So I just function that way. It's better for me. I hate last minute change. That's, like, the worst for me. I deal with it better now, but when somebody tells me something last minute, I'm like, like, it's just like, why couldn't you tell me this 2 weeks ago when I asked? Especially because I am a person that's very vocal. Mm-hmm. So I'll go and ask. Or I'll be like, hey, have you made a decision about this? And they'll be like, no, not yet. And I'm like, all right, cool. And then they'll tell me last minute, I'm like, I asked. You know, I can be like that. But I've learned that I'm like, okay, you also have to think about, you know, people in their situation. Maybe they have a lot going on. They haven't thought about it. Maybe I should have approached them earlier. So God's working with me on that, but it is very hard for me. So, but yeah. So what scares you?
For me, I think it's down that route too of being let down or relying on the wrong person because it's like you're depending on them. So it's like for you to let me down is like, why would you do that?
Like
that's,
bruh.
yeah, like bruh, like, you know. And I think it's embarrassing too, like to be like let down or be left in that such a vulnerable state. Like I think I'd be really embarrassed, and then like in my head I'm like, okay, I'm like never like relying on you ever
You're like
again.
never again.
Yeah, and just the fact that it happened, I think would like bother me, like irritate me.
Also, I think like being let down can like affect your trust, not only for that person but for like future people.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's like I'd rather just do it myself.
Yeah.
It kind of just like somebody else comes in to try to help you, but you have that mentality of they're gonna let you down again. So it's like no.
Yeah, I mean, I think so. I think that was definitely my issue. Because I didn't have the greatest support system like growing up either. So in my mind, I was like, I have to do it all by myself because if not, people are not going to do it right. And especially, I'm gonna admit I am very picky on how I like things done. So when things don't get done that certain way, I might be a little crazy. Just a tad bit. Just a tad bit. I might be like, I should have done it myself, you know?
Yeah, there's a phrase that's like, when you want something done right, you gotta do it yourself.
Yeah. Okay, so that was me for a very long time. Like, I just gotta do it myself. I think also something that we can talk about that, you know, what scares us to be dependent is also there is a sense of vulnerability that comes with it. And I'm going to hit the subject of marriage. I'm going to hit it right now. I didn't put it on there, but I knew I was going to go for it. So when you guys are young right now, you guys are enjoying, you know, being single, being young, you're going to school, which is a great time of your life, and I think enjoy it to the fullest, right? There's gonna be a time though when you guys decide, right, when the time is right for everybody, and it's never gonna be the same time as someone else. I think that's something else that I feel like that'll be a good subject to talk about. I feel like everybody's like, the train's leaving me or whatever they say, you know, like, and I was like, no, there's a specific time for everybody. Not everybody's time's gonna be the same, and that's cool. Like, you know, I got married before my older sister. Mm-hmm. My older sister got married in her late 30s.
Oh, wow.
There's not a perfect time. You know, like there's a time that's perfect for you, but might not be for somebody else, but it's for you. And I think that's all that matters. But yes, when you get married, you know, and this is something I wanted to talk about. When you get married and you are dependent on your husband, you can be dependent not only emotionally, you can be dependent financially as well. You can be dependent in a spiritual sense as well, because, you know, as the word says, you know, our husbands are, you know, head of household. They're the ones that, you know, really have to spiritually be there. Not saying that we don't either. We have our own role as well that God has established. But you know, I don't know if you guys ever thought about it. Like, would you guys be scared to be dependent financially or dependent emotionally with someone that close?
I would like to just pray extra hard. I would genuinely just pray extra hard because...
That's such a Valerie answer.
Yeah. I just need to pray about it. I don't want to answer that.
Yes, because I think it's very scary to like...
Yeah, it is scary.
Like, if you get... Because it's like a forever commitment. Like,
it is a forever commitment, yeah.
And I think, like you said, you also have to learn to be dependent on that person, which, you know, I think it'll probably be... Not, I don't want to say a struggle. Look at her.
She's like, oh, she's spiraling.
Thinking it through.
She's like gripping the table right now. She's like,
we were fine. We were fine with the independent. As soon as it's independent, she's like, I don't know.
She's like, why the switch?
I'm like, no, don't turn. Yeah, I think I would just pray extra hard because I think if you end up with the wrong person, it can cause so many issues. And I don't know. I've also heard cases like of marriages and stuff like that. I've seen them. Yeah. So I think it's really sad, and it's like, I don't want to. Kind of like the Bible says, when you see the, I'm probably gonna say it wrong in English, but when you see the beard of your brother on fire or something like that, like in water or something like that. So that's kind of what I would pray. Put yours to soak, basically. Yeah, put yours to soak. Yeah, I would just pray extra hard. Like,
I mean, it's
not the right one. Take him away.
Take him away.
I would kill him. I'm kidding. We're live. Nah, don't kill him.
We need to, deduct the 10 minutes from
as soon as Valerie gets married, I'm calling her the night after.
Be like, hey, give him a chance. Give him a chance. It's been 1 day. Is he still alive?
I'm going to send an SOS.
Blink if you need help. Oh, my God.
He's into that thing.
Well, we know who we got to watch out for now. Oh, Lord. It's okay. I was like that, too. It was hard. It was very hard. Especially if for everybody that knows my husband, me and him have very
That's such a valid reaction.
That's a valid.
Very accurate.
I am very, very serious. Very serious and very, that way. I tend to be very like upfront, very serious, and then there's my husband who's like the very total polar opposite from me. He's a goofball.
Wait, what did he say that one time? He's a hugger,
not a fighter.
No, he said he's a lover, not a fighter. Right? Yeah,
he's like, I'ma hug it out.
Yeah, hug it out.
If you punch me, I'ma
hug it out. Yeah, that's my husband. Yeah,
bro.
Yeah, and it was a challenge because he's very like, hey, I love you, hug, and I'm like, what are you doing? That's weird. Yeah, so but it's something you learn, right? But yeah, he's very like, I want to do stuff for you all the time. Like he wants to do stuff, and he's like, oh, he's very like, I want to shower you with love type of person. And I never really had that, like, even through my childhood. So it was weird for me. I'm like, okay, what do you want? Do you want something? Like, what is it that you...
Like, there's a price to this, yeah.
Yeah, like, I feel like there was a price to pay. He's just like, no, it's just, I love you. That's it.
Love you so much.
Yeah, and I'm just like... Oh, weird, like
I guess he's okay on that aspect.
I was like, I
guess he met my her standards.
Yeah, like sometimes, like for me, like especially like I work too. I work full time. He works full time, but sometimes he'll come out of work and he's just like, hey, I'm gonna cook dinner today. I already have everything ready. I want to do this, and I'm like, okay. So I get home and he has like dinner cooked, and he's the type of person that he's just like. Yeah, he has a candle. Don't give him ideas. Rose petals. No. He says the light. My gosh. If he does that, I'm gonna be like, he listened to the episode. My God,
he's gonna come home, blow the candle out, turn the lights on.
Bro, she's not gonna blow it. She's gonna put her feet.
All right.
It's okay, Ryan. Get it.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised, to be honest. So he is that person. But anyway, he'll sometimes have dinner cooked, and he's just like, oh, here, I made dinner, and like, and I sometimes I'm like, okay, I feel bad. I was like, well, let me serve you. He's just like, no, why? He's like, and he'll like serve me, and I'm like, I feel really weird that you're like doing that because I'm supposed to do it. Especially, like, we were taught we have to serve our husbands, Obviously, I do. But he does it for me as well. Like, and it's just...
It's not one-sided.
It's not one-sided. Yeah, it's not one-sided. And, but it's just something that you learn. We had to learn how to be together. It wasn't like, oh, we love each other and that was enough. Mm-hmm. No, there is something that you have to put in the work as well to learn to be dependent on that person. So like for me, like I'm totally dependent on him. Like I know that, let's say if I lose my job, I know that he's got me. Like I'm not worried about it. Like I'm like, okay, well, worried maybe like on a few things here and there, but I know that I'll be fine.
Because I love that for you.
You know, like, I have that, like, I'm not worried about it. Like, it's going to be all right.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I feel like that's also a good thing on, like, for both, because he doesn't have, like, that you know how, like, guys have that, like, masculine, like, I guess, like, just
mentality.
Like, yeah, it just comes to them where they're like, well, you have to do this because of this. Like, you have to do that because you're my wife.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, that's actually really good that he actually can put in both sides, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think it has to do a lot of with culture. So, you know, he was born here, and we are very more open. I don't want to say open-minded because I don't want to offend anybody. I think we are just taught differently. Our culture is different. A lot of people, and I'm going to say this, I think just because we come from a Hispanic household, that doesn't mean that that's our culture. We have an American culture. Right. That's us. We come from an American culture, so we think a little bit different from our parents even, or how the way they grew up, because they grew up in other countries. So it's viewed a little bit differently. Yeah. And I think that's okay. You have to do what's good within your marriage. Like, for other marriages, that might not work. Yeah. Like, and that's not good. But with me and my marriage, that's what works for us. And obviously, I serve my husband. Like, if I have to cook or I have to clean or I have to make sure everything's, we know what our roles are within our marriage, and it works for us. And that's what you guys have to figure out whenever that time comes, what works for you. Because what's going to work for Hermana Valerie is not going to work for Hermana Jocelyn, and vice versa. Like, you guys are going to have different roles and different, things. So, and that's something that does not, being dependent on someone, to go back on the topic, it's not something that makes you weak. And I feel like sometimes we can think that it makes us weak, being dependent on somebody. But, I'm going to hit question 4 just because we're getting close. So question 4, how can we learn to be dependent now so we can depend on our future spouses?
Prayer too. Pray God to shape us and mold us. Break our character, Lord.
Pretty much.
Oh, we speak French now.
Lord help her. It's funny. She one time told me, she's like, Hermana Jenna, I like relate to you like a lot, like, character wise. She's like, but I don't want to marry a goof. And she's like, I was like, my bad. I'm sorry to break it to you, but most likely, that's what she said.
That's exactly how
That's exactly how it's gonna go. Yeah, because it has to be your polar opposite. Mm-hmm. So,
well, I've also been told someone with a even stronger character as me, and then that way, I don't know.
Nah, that's not what we want, though. Nah, we're not going that
okay, but I don't think I want that.
Maybe I will take the goof.
No. Right. Oh my gosh. But yeah, so how do you guys think that we can learn to be dependent now so we can be dependent on our future spouses?
I think learning to depend on God first, and then He will lead us and then guide us on how to depend on our future spouse.
Yeah.
Yes, and I think that's good because society teaches us to be independent, but God actually teaches us to be dependent on Him at all times. Not to be independent, not to depend on ourselves, but He tells us to depend on Him, which I think is important, especially for us in the Christian faith, that we need to know that we're dependent on God at all times. We may know a lot intellectually. We may be very successful, but every single time, the reason why we have all those things is because of God, is because God has opened the doors for us, is because God has allowed us, because God has given us the strength, the wisdom, the knowledge, and that's why we have those things. And I think it's important to know that we're always dependent on Him, and I think that's so important, Hermana Melanie, to know that we're dependent on Him at all times. So whenever that transition comes in, it's not going to feel like weird because, first of all, we're also going to pick someone, that is going to be good for us, that understands us. And then, we will know what being dependent means.
Yeah, I feel like when you depend on God, all that doubt of like having the fear of somebody letting you down, or the fear of relying on somebody or not being in control, kind of just goes out the window, because it's like, well, God kind of molded you in that way to be able to depend on the person that you're with, you know?
Yeah, I think so too. I think, we're learning as well with God to be dependent, because there's certain areas that we are dependent sometimes with God. And then there's other areas that God's still working on us to be dependent. And I think that's what we have to ask God every time. Like, hey, help us be dependent on you. Help us, be dependent, later in life as well. And I think it also goes with, I think it makes us nervous to be dependent on someone, because obviously we don't know who that person is yet. There's a lot of uncertainty. But when the time comes, I feel like, for me, once I knew that I wanted to do that step with brother Josue, like to get married, I knew that was my person. We didn't really date for that long. Like, I just knew that that was my person. Even though there was a lot of learning curve to it, but we learned together.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's the same thing with you guys. So I think definitely praying about it, asking God, to make sure he guides you correct, that you're not only led by emotions, but you're also led by the testimony that person brings. Like, who is that person? Who is that? What does that person do? Especially for us, like, what does that person do at church? Are they committed to God? Because to me, I think that's one of the biggest telltale signs. If that person is not loyal to God, that person is not going to be loyal to you.
Yeah, that's right.
If that person doesn't serve God, that person's not going to serve you. That's how I see it. If that person doesn't have a relationship with God, he can't have a relationship with you. And I think a lot of people go based off like, oh, well, they know how to play an instrument, or they know how to do this, or they talk nice, or their looks, or they dress nice. And I'm like, okay, that's obviously
cool, but
that's cool. Like, obviously you
Get serious.
like, you're going to see with your eyes, obviously. Yeah. But more so than that is, what does that person do? What actions, does that person have at church? When they're corrected, how do they act?
That's a good one.
I think that's a big one, because sometimes while everything's going good, they're like, all right, everything's good. They get corrected, and then you can tell that upsets them. They don't accept correction. They're like, oh, well, I was doing fine. They make excuses. They don't take accountability for their actions, and that says a lot of that person. And I think that all those things you have to kind of like, okay, God, let me look at this good. Somebody can sweet talk you all they want, but who are they? Who are they really?
And or show you one side, but they're not showing you the full thing. I also think is very scary, because you think you know the person, and then there's like all these things to them.
There's this saying that's like, you never know the person until you live with them, and that's scary. Like, I don't want to actually know you, and I'm already stuck with you. Like,
and I totally get that.
That's why we pray extra hard, guys.
That's why you gotta pray.
Exactly why we pray.
This is why you gotta pray. You gotta pray about it, because look, our God reveals too. God reveals, and some things that are hidden will not remain hidden for long. God always brings it to light. Everything comes to light. That's one. And two, I think it's important, like, I think you mentioned, what was it? It's scary that they show you just one side. But remember, the word of God says that you will know them by their fruits. So, por sus frutos los conoceréis. So, no matter what, they're going to show who they truly are sooner or later. And you have to really pray about it and be like, all right, like, who are you really? And I think that's the most important thing that we can tell to any youth. It doesn't matter if you're, female or male. You look beyond the pretty looks. Look beyond, what they tell you.
Sweet talk.
Beyond the sweet talk.
What they tell you.
Serious.
Beyond, they tell you one thing, but then not behind your back, but to the people that like.
Yeah, exactly. Ask the important questions. Okay, what do you, I always think that it's important to make a friendship before you even make a relationship. You have to know who that person is. Who are they at church? You know, like, hey, what do you do at church? Oh, no, I just come to church. Okay.
Next.
What do you do outside of church?
Like, what do you do outside of church? Do you serve in this area? You know, like, you know, talk about spiritual things. That's how you get to know somebody, like what their convictions are, where their priorities lie. You know, if it's a person that never wants to talk about God and just wants to talk about like you guys, okay, then you know what I mean? Then that's not worth it.
Yeah.
You know? So I think it's important. There's ways to learn how to be dependent. And there's going to be a time you guys are going to be dependent on your future spouses. For now, you guys are in the independent life, you know? Still dependent on your parents if you think about it too, but, you know, to a certain degree. Mm-hmm. But, you know, there's going to be a time where you're going to have to, you always have to depend on others on certain things. We don't know it all. We get tired and we need somebody to help us pick us back up. You know, that's why we also come to church, because we're dependent on God. We need God to pick us up. We need God to give us strength. We need God to help us in everything we do. We can't do it all on our own every single time, because we're going to fail and we're going to burn out. And that's not the point. That's not what God wants for us. He doesn't want us to burn out. He wants us to fully depend on him. Yeah. So we're going to close out this episode 10. And we're going to do a small prayer, you know, for anybody who's listening, you know, and I hope that if you have been burning out because you've been independent this whole time, we invite you to depend on the Lord. Yeah, depend on the Lord, because he can help you with whatever situation you're going through. Father God, we give you thanks, God, for this episode. Thank you for everybody who's listening right now, Lord Almighty. We ask you, God, that you help each person, oh God, if they're having a burnout from being independent. Only you know. Maybe they don't have the best support system at the moment, but I know that they can depend on you, oh Lord. Help each and every one of us, oh God, to be dependent on you with everything, oh Lord. Help us, and we put ourselves in your hands in the name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. And please wait for us. Well, stay tuned for next week. We're going to have our episode 11. And we don't know what the subject is yet because we haven't decided, or I think we do. I can't remember.
We're still voting.
Yeah.
We're still voting on it. So, yeah, but we will be back. And don't worry. Brother Joshua will be back on episode 11.
I like this. I don't know.
Let's keep it like this.
Just vote.
He'll be back.
It's
He'll
funny
be back.
how he wasn't here, but he was mentioned.
He was mentioned so much. Okay.
His presence was next door.
But yeah, no, he'll be back for episode 11. So please, please keep watching our show, and please comment or like, or if you have a suggestion for a topic you would like to, I guess
Hear
about. Then put it in the comments, and we'll definitely put it in the vote. So thank you again, each and every one of you. God bless you, and we can't wait to see you next time.
God bless you.